Okay, great. Let's get started. Well, our degree program, the focus of this presentation is on our degree programs. I'm saying that purely because Sessions, of course, does offer vocational programs as well. If you're here and you're interested in those, we can have a separate discussion about this, but the focus tonight is going to be on our degree programs, which include our undergraduate certificate, our associate degree, and our BFA program. So we'll try to deal generally with those because we probably have students interested in different majors. And let's get started with that. So first of all, some quick introductions. I'm the president of Sessions College. My name is Gordon Drummond. I've been at Sessions College since 2001. And we'll get into that later, but we're an online school that has been around for a while. And I'm very much involved with everything at Sessions, everything from our educational programs, instructional design, to our regulatory compliance and all sorts of good stuff. And I find it an incredibly fulfilling place to work because it's a place where creatives try to provide high quality education to other creative people. And joining me in this call is an incredibly talented person who joined us 2 years ago, Dr. Meryl Epstein. If I can introduce her, she's our Dean of Academic Programs, and she's responsible for the entire education side. Meryl has, to save her the embarrassment of talking about her many accomplishments, I will do that. Meryl has a 20-plus year history in many different educational settings. She's taught as a community college teacher. She's taught in art schools. She's been a dean. She's been a PhD level, a program advisor. She's done all of these things in education. And now she's at Sessions. She's got a chance to work in a purely creative school setting and a purely online setting. And she's already done incredible things for us as an institution. So say hi, Meryl.
I unmuted. This is the time of day where dogs bark a lot, so I'll go from unmute to mute. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
All right, welcome. So who let the dogs out? Okay. So,
exactly.
Let me go over the agenda so we all know what to expect. This presentation is probably going to take 45 minutes, maybe less, maybe more. We want to allot as much time as possible for your questions at the end. So again, if you have a question, just type it in the chat window and we can address it when we get to the Q&A stage. So here are some of the things we're going to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about why Sessions College. We're going to talk about what makes us distinct as a school, because you're a prospective student, you're thinking about probably many options. So we want to explain what might make Sessions College right for you. We're going to talk about our degree programs. As I mentioned, undergraduate certificate, associate degree, bachelor's degree, very different programs. And you may be interested in one major, not sure which one to pick. So we'll deal with that. Dr. Epstein is going to give you a sneak peek into our classroom, which is sort of a tour behind the scenes that's going to show you what to expect and talk about how you'll learn, like what the benefit of the program is. We'll be focused on a couple of things. One is the benefit of working with our faculty. And another is on our BFA program. This is a program that we've just launched in the last few months, and we're very, very excited about it. So we're going to feature that a little bit towards the end of the presentation. We will allot time for Q&A, and we'll also allot time for admissions next steps, because if you're excited about this program and you're not yet in the process of enrollment, our senior director of admissions, Jessica De La Garza, is only happy to tell you what it takes to get started with us. So with that, let's get started with the presentation. So Sessions College, what is it they say on the airlines? They say, thank you for flying with us. We're aware you have many choices as you fly. And that's true in any endeavor of life. It's also true in education. So if you're thinking about taking a program, whether it's in photography or graphic design or illustration, you likely have many choices. You have local schools, you've got state schools, community colleges, maybe there's an art school near you. Well, let me tell you about Sessions College and kind of explain why we might be a good fit for you. First of all, we're a purely online school. As you may know, many schools went online in the last year. 95% of US higher education last March suddenly went online to try to deliver online programs. And about 88% of them discovered that it can be quite challenging. We are a fully online school, and we've been online for the start. We don't have a physical facility. We don't have classrooms. And that means we're only focused on delivering online. Online is not a sideline for us, it's what we do. So, and we've been that way for 20 years. We were first accredited in 2001. So we're not a new program figuring things out. We've developed a model that we're very confident in and that we think works for our students. So we're online, we're born online, as we like to say. We're also born as a creative school. You know, sometimes you'll enroll in a program and it's a great program, but it's part of a larger school, and the design school or the photography school is sort of a sideline, or it's one teacher's responsibility. And that may be fine. And there's many great programs that are like that. But for us, creative education is all we do. We like to educate graphic designers, artists, illustrators, photographers. We we live and breathe that, and that's what we're really excited about doing. So I think that gives us a sort of an edge in some ways in terms of being an institution that's really focused on that. Because we're that way, we deliver the education a little bit differently sometimes than other schools. We like to call our instructional model project-based, instructor-led, and asynchronous, which is kind of an abstract way to discuss it. But what it actually means is the education is all structured around practical projects that help you tackle creative tasks, develop skills, and hopefully develop a good portfolio of work as you work through the program. And so instead of it being academic, you know, now you will write papers if you enroll at sessions. I can't tell you that's not the case, but the majority of your studies will be focused on creative programs. And so you're learning how to take photographs in certain situations, or you're learning how to deal with certain kinds of illustration, or you're dealing with, you know, production techniques in graphic design. It's very practical. But along with that, we realize you're online, we're online, and therefore we need to be flexible in order to talk to each other. What we're doing right now with this Zoom presentation is something that we don't do a lot at Sessions College. We don't have a lot of commitments to be at a certain place at a certain time. Our mission with online education is to try to make it flexible enough for busy working adults and professionals, everyone, whether they're adults or even college-age students, is busy. So we try to set a schedule for students where they can work their creative studies around the other important things that might be going on in their lives. So you'll see that there's not set login times every week. There are deadlines, there's schedules, but it's set up in such a way that you can be creative on your own time and still make progress without having to spend a lot of seat time, you know, online with someone like me on the other end of a Zoom call. So that's one thing to bear in mind. There's not a lot of that scheduled face-to-face, but there is a lot of flexibility and there's a lot of creative challenge. So that's been our MO from the start, that we're flexible enough for adult learners. One statistic I always love is that more than 50% of the students in our degree program are either full-time or part-time employed while they do their programs. And you know, that you might think that's the way it should be. That's the way I think it should be. That the education should be flexible enough that you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to, you know, set yourself back to the start of your professional life in order to learn something. You should be able to learn something while you're also pursuing other things so that you can progress in your life, in your creative life. And finally, because we've done all this, you know, we are recognized in many different ways. We've been accredited for 20 years. We are a US Department of Education approved school for Title IV funding. That means since 2013, students can use, if you're eligible for Pell Grants or loans, if you're an eligible student, you can access federal funds to take these programs, which is a sort of a stamp of approval in a certain way, because we've been working with the government, the US government, since 2013 to support these programs so that students can afford their education. And then finally, we're also recognized within the industry. The US DLA is US Distance Learning Association has given us awards on 3 different occasions. And we're also annually recognized by Graphic Design USA magazine as one of the top design schools in the country, particularly as an online school. So these are things that make Sessions College different, perhaps, than other institutions. Perhaps it's a reason to choose us if that is what you're looking for in a school. So having talked about the general attributes, I just want to quickly talk about our degree programs. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the website. We have 3 different levels. I'm going to talk briefly about what their components are. just to set the stage for why each program might be relevant. Our undergraduate certificate is our shortest degree level program. It's very focused. It's 24 credits within 2 semesters. If you're studying full-time, you can complete a short and focused program on graphic design or digital photography or illustration. There's a whole range of majors to choose from. There's no general education. So sometimes that can be a really nice program for an adult who's looking to add another credential or another skill set, another area to the resume. More thorough than that, longer, more comprehensive, is our associate degree, which has taken over 2 years. It's an Associate of Occupational Studies degree, which is a very special kind of associate degree. There's 72 credits, 54 credits of those are based on art design coursework. So it's not your grandfather's associate degree. It's not just a stepping stone to a bachelor's. It's a very comprehensive program, and it's very much focused on creative studies. So if you're into the field and you really want to get a thorough program, it's a very good one to choose. And it's one that can be completed on a full-time basis in 2 years. Bear in mind that everything I'm saying would change. If you had part-time, it would take longer. If you had credits to bring in, because we have a credit transfer policy, it could be shorter than that. So it depends on the individual student situation. At the top of the tree, in our minds, is our new program that I'm going to tell you about later on. It's our bachelor's program. It's a BFA, 120 credits, but you can complete it in 10 semesters or 3.3 years. Just a little over 3 years, you could earn a BFA. And currently, our first bachelor's program was just launched this year. It's in graphic design. So we're very excited about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. The bottom line, though, I wanted to, before I hand you over to Meryl, is to just emphasize that the keynote of all these programs and all these majors and all these different lengths is that the program is designed or developed with you in mind. The features of the programs, whether it's an undergraduate certificate or an associate degree or bachelor's, are that we are trying to prepare creative professionals with a range of relevant skills. If you want to be creative, you have to be not only creative, you need to be technical, you need to be a skilled communicator, you need to know how to produce artwork in your area. So it is a blend of these skills that we're trying to teach. We also need to teach real world education. We're very much focused on preparing you for the marketplace, not teaching you how to be an academic. With no disrespect to academics, we want to be very practical. Thirdly, possibly most importantly of all, it's very portfolio focused. You all know, if you are photographers or illustrators or designers, the quality of your portfolio is super important. Might be as important as the credential you're earning. So we're looking to provide you opportunities to develop high quality work as you go through the program, so that you come out at the end of it with a series of works that show your skills. So these are the keynotes of the program, but I really am excited to hand you over to the capable hands of Dr. Meryl Epstein, who's going to talk about our program. I will advance the slides, but Meryl will do the talking for this part. And we're going to talk about what it's like to study at Sessions. So over to Meryl.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's sneak into a class. The first thing we do is we log in. I don't know if any of you have already worked online. We use Canvas. We really like it. It's very user-friendly. We give you an orientation, so don't worry if you haven't worked online before. We will hold your hand through that process, but we find it very user-friendly. So next slide, let's log in. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll take a sneak peek into a class. This is just an overview of what the screen looks like, so you can see before you enter a section of the class what it is. We include a syllabus. We can see who's in your class grades. We even have a library, LIRN library. So those are textbooks that you can use in the class. By the way, no textbooks to buy. How about that? That isn't what you always hear from places. A lot of times there's always this add-on fees, or as I call it, nickel and diming. No nickel and diming with Sessions College. You pay your tuition, it includes this great library of textbooks, but most importantly, our courses are developed by our instructors. And we include, as Gordon already talked about, we have weekly assignments. That's just to keep you on track. but you can post them at any time, which is great. So that way you can be at 3 a.m. in the morning in your pajamas posting. No one is the wiser. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so there's Jordan, one of our faculty members. He also happens to be our esteemed illustration and fine art department head. He's pretty awesome. But here's an example of the beginning of a class. And again, I couldn't show you the whole thing. It'd be lots of screenshots because there's lots of content. But when you look at the class, you can look at it on your phone. You can look at it on an iPad. You can work on your computer. And the way we've set it up is it's responsive, so it resizes on your phone or your device. And you can look at sections and you go, you know what, I got to go do the laundry. You can read a section, and then when you go back, you don't have to scroll through everything. You just click on where you left off. You click on that topic and then you read through it. So again, we designed this with you in mind. What is it like to be a busy, active adult and want to be creative? So we provide flexibility to make that happen. So we have lectures, exercises, and discussions. So let's go to the next one. So this is an example of a section of a lecture, and you can see there's a graphic, and we sort of introduce it, or as I call it, we frame it. We tell you what we're going to talk about, what our objectives are, and then we walk you through the process as if you were in a lecture, literally, visually, but then we also provide in the lecture opportunities and resources so you can practice your skills. So this is just a drawing class, which is a foundational course, but we have the same kind of strategy when we're teaching software or advanced concepts. The other thing that's fun, if you're going into the associate degree or the BFA, our gen eds, we create them ourselves as well. So it's not like you're reading some, I hate to say, boring book where you're just following the chapters. It's not like that. We come up with a concept, we provide the resources, and even our gen eds have opportunities for you to be creative, which I think makes us unique. So as it says here, expand your artistic point of view. We do that in all our classes. Next. Okay, so this is an example of an exercise. So you read the lecture, you go through it, you play with it. Sometimes, especially software you might have on your screen, the software you're using, let's say it's Lightroom or Photoshop, you have it on screen and you do the lecture. The instructor's talking through it, you play with the software. Then you have an exercise where you have an opportunity to work on it. In this case, it's a drawing one, but the same format is created for our technical classes as well. And so you get to practice it. You go, oh yeah, we talked about this. Now we get to practice it. Because sometimes people will read, look, they say, and I've read this, I don't know the statistics, people think they're going to learn something by just watching a ton of YouTube videos. That people don't really learn. They just sort of fall down the rabbit hole. Our strategy is to show concepts, provide opportunities for you to practice, and that leads us to the next slide. Discussions. So you have discussions and critiques. And so those are where you post your images in some cases, maybe comments, maybe you all look at a graphic and you talk about it. So you're engaging with your peers. But again, you could be doing this at 3 a.m. in the morning and then your peers show up at 10 a.m. the next day. So then they might be talking to you. So you don't have to be online at the same time, but there will be a discussion thread so that you can engage. You show your work, you can have critiques, you exchange ideas. That's how the learning happens. It doesn't just happen by sitting in a box, but it's engaging with others, with your instructor and your peers. Next. And here's some of just a sampling of our faculty. If you want to check out more content, go to our website. You can just type in the search code faculty and it will come up and you'll find this whole page of lots of our faculty. They are working professionals. They are creative professionals. This is not hobbyist, someone that just, oh, I'm going to teach online. These are people that worked in the industry. They're the ones that develop our courses and they're the ones that engage you. So when they're talking to you, they're talking based on their experience. When they're looking at your work, they're assessing it and critiquing it just as if they were looking at it as if it's your portfolio. And every class, that's how it builds from the beginning to the end. Each class, you're building a piece, you want to create quality. Sometimes the pieces, it takes a while to marinate the ideas, but progressively you're going to produce pieces that could be added into your portfolio. So that's the next slide. Leads me to our student gallery. Our student gallery is online. At the end of each class, our instructors submit names and work for us to consider to nominate for our portfolio, our gallery. And these are all students. These are all current students. They're in the program. I always like to even display work that's from our foundation courses, our early classes, because students can be creative at all levels. A lot of times students come with experience too, so they might already have a lot of skills. Sometimes someone's a new beginner, but they're awesome. So we like celebrating students at all levels of their work. And you again, you can see this on our website. I hope you check it out. So that's my part of this gig, and I'll segue to Gordon. Tag your it.
Yes.
Now you can talk about our fabulous BFA.
Thank you. Thank you. You got me, Meryl. Yeah, it's the student gallery. I definitely advise you guys to check it out, because you'll see a range of work there: graphic design, photography, illustration. You can sort it by category, and each of the pieces of work reflect a student who's working through the program and doing some amazing stuff. But I want to, before we talk about the missions process, I want to talk a little bit about BFA. It's our new program. So, you know, it's the latest baby to arrive in the household. So we end up talking about it a little bit. The BFA, our first BFA, is focused on our graphic design major. So, and it has some unique features. So if there's anyone, if some of you in the tour are thinking about graphic design, whether you're thinking about an undergraduate certificate or an associate degree, I just want to highlight some of the features that we're excited about. If you enroll in the graphic design BFA, at the third and the fourth year level, there's some very specific features. At that point, for the design student, having gone through 2 years of very creative, focused foundation work, they arrive at the third year level and they have very unique options. They have the ability to customize their creative path around their portfolio goals. So at that point, the student works with their department head to say, okay, here's the kind of portfolio I want to end up with. I want to focus on logo design, and I want to do some publications, and I'm thinking about going into magazines, but I want to be a freelancer. So how can you help me? And what we do at that stage is try to help the student put together some goals for that. And then the remaining parts of the program can be adapted, because it's very, very open-ended, so that the student can come out of the program at the end of it with a portfolio that really matches what they want to do in the industry. So this is a model that we're fantastically excited about, and we're looking forward to working with our first class of upper level students who are entering the program this April. Other things that are exciting about it is there will be a little bit more presentation in the third and fourth year level than happens in the first and second year level, in the sense of students actually getting together in groups and presenting their work to each other. Because when they reach that level, they're going to have projects and portfolios that they need to be able to defend and discuss and gain that confidence of this verbal presentation of their work. It's going to be a unique feature of the program is that at the third and fourth year level, it's going to have an entrepreneurship internship class that gives students the chance to earn credit for client work or even on-site work with an employer, which we really think is an essential component or a very useful component for any creative. If you're looking for work, one of the first things they ask you is, well, where else have you worked? And if you're a student, sometimes that's hard to answer. So we built it into the program that students with one class and with a lot of help and supervision have the ability to earn credit for some professional work. At the end of the BFA level, of course, one thing we're excited about is the portfolio that students are going to come up with. And so at the end of the day, there's going to be an online show for our BFA students. The first one would be, goodness, 2022, maybe the fall of 2022 is when the first one will happen. But very exciting program. So if any of you are thinking about advertising design or graphic design, this is a program that you may be interested in. It's our top level program for the graphic design students. And just to end with something that might blow your mind, because it blows our mind, the BFA program builds on the strengths of the associate degree. So for a graphic design student who's enrolling in it, they do have the chance to complete this bachelor's degree in under 4 years. You know, typically a bachelor's degree is 4 years or 4 years plus to complete, which seems like an awful long time. So we made it very intense, and within 10 semesters or 3.3 years, a student going end to end at full-time pace could complete a bachelor's degree. So with that, that's I want to end our presentation on the BFA. There's certainly opportunity to answer questions about this, but I do want to talk about the admissions process, because if you want to get started, I mean, we have somebody in the room who can really answer your questions. So I'm going to ask Jessica if she can join the chat. Jessica, are you on?
Yep, I'm here.
Great. All right, take it away. It's all yours.
Yeah, awesome. So a lot of you, if I haven't spoken with you, I'm working with your admissions advisor to help you guys get through the process. So a lot of familiar names definitely here today. Obviously, if you haven't already spoken with an admissions advisor, that is a really great first step. All the admissions advisors are super helpful, very friendly. All of us have some background in art or design, and we get it and we want to help. If you have not already completed an application, that is a great first step as well. You can find the application on our website, pretty much anywhere on the website you go. It's the big green Enroll Now button. Once you've completed an application and you've had an admissions interview with an advisor, basically just kind of going over what to expect in your classes, making sure you're prepared, you know how much time you're going to be spending each week, and just the enrollment process. And once those two things have been completed, then you're kind of on a roll at that point. Depending on which program you want to go into, whether it be the undergraduate certificate or one of the degrees, it sort of branches off, right? If you're doing an undergraduate certificate, it's a really straightforward process, open enrollment. There's no formal process that is associated with that. It's just a matter of discussing financial aid, if that's what you're using, or military benefits, if you're using that, and then kind of moving on the process from there. Of course, if you're a degree-seeking student, whether that be the associate's or the bachelor's degree, there is a formal application process that your admissions advisor will explain with you. They'll also send you a checklist and keep updating that checklist so that you know where you're at in that process. And there is also a link on the website that describes this process that your admissions advisor will send to you as well. As far as the full admissions process goes, it can be completed pretty quickly as long as you're sort of keeping abreast and keeping track of all of your admissions material. And by the time that you complete it, you'll sign an enrollment agreement and you'll be able to get started with your orientation, which is what Meryl had kind of spoken a little bit about. It'll get you acclimated to your online classroom.
Great.
So that's the admissions process.
That is the admissions process. Well, you made it sound simple.
It is. It can be. It can be complicated, but that's where the admissions advisor is there to help. So
it can be. We've got a very helpful team here. These guys are all creative people. They understand where you're coming from, but they're also very focused, and they can help you navigate the different steps, including coordinating with our financial aid department. So with that, I'd like to. I'm going to exit out of PowerPoint. And I want to see whether there are any questions that anyone has. We have lots of folks here. We've got, I see some other folks who joined the tour maybe in the middle, Marion and Crystal. So if you have a question, please type it in the chat window and we can answer any question that you have about anything in programs.
Mm-hmm. And also, as Gordon kind of mentioned earlier, to keep in mind, we know that there is a raffle for a free t-shirt. We will need to know who you are so that we can send you that t-shirt, so we can send you that. So if your name doesn't match your name in Zoom, you can message us privately if you would like, or you can put it into this Zoom chat, first and last name, so we know who you are, so we can enter you into that drawing.
That's great. That's absolutely right. That's important for folks that are joining us from Facebook Live, who we can't see in this chat. If you're joining us via Facebook, we don't know about you. So please contact admissions and say, I was in the tour, and give us your information. Okay, I see a question from Tiana Crook, who says, when does orientation start? The next class for degree program starts on April 26th. And there are orientation events the week before, which is starts on the 19th. See, that's my mathematical skills there. So that the 19th of April would be the start. But the way that we do it at sessions, once you get through the process of admissions and you're all set up for your program,